talk today. Why? Why can't I talk? Like, why do I even do my eyebrows then, right? Hey everyone, welcome to the Oaklers YouTube channel. My name is Jessica. Thanks for stopping by. Today our project is a hairband. Yeah, it's not a bag. Guys, it's not a bag or a quilt block. It's a hairband. So I went on Amazon recently and I bought this package of these knit hairbands. And they were cute, but again, I have so much fabric, And I was thinking, I was like, I would really love to make some of these with my own fabric. So I kind of studied the ones that I bought off of Amazon, and I'll even put the link below for the hairbands that I bought off of Amazon. So yeah, I studied it for a while, and then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to come up with my own, and I did, and it's pretty cute. So this is the hairband that I'm going to show you. We're actually going to do two different variations of this today. We're going to do this knotted look, which is really sweet, and then we're going to also do kind of a twisted look where it's not hooked on each other, but it's just twisted. That's how we wear it. I tell you what, I wear it like this. So here's one super cute way of wearing a headband. I don't know, I'm not really a good face model, head model, anything model, but here's one way of wearing the headband. So here's another really cute way to wear a headband. These are really versatile. You can wear them for all different types of activities. I mean, if you just wear them for washing your face, then that's what you wear them for. I wear mine pretty much when my hair is a mess, which is 99% of the time. The only time my hair looks like this is when I'm talking to you. That's it. It's up in a ponytail all the time, usually with a hairband. So what got me thinking about making my own hairbands was the fact that I have a pretty large size head. I know that's not anything to brag about, but my head is just a bigger size. So a lot of hats don't fit me properly, and a lot of hairbands either hurt or just don't stay, right? They just whoosh, slide right back up. So this gives me opportunity to make my own size for my big fat head. Yay. Before we get into the tutorial, I just wanted to make one quick note. I had a few people message me on previous videos asking about how to buy some of the things we make in the videos. So I know that not everybody here sews, and that's cool, but they're interested in how do I purchase a custom-made blank? How do I purchase a custom-made bag? How do I purchase a custom-made quilt? How do I purchase, I don't know, if somebody wants to purchase custom-made headbands. What I want to invite you to do is if you are a sewer who sells headbands, custom-made headbands, will you please comment down below your shop so that anybody else visiting this YouTube channel who was interested in a custom headband but not interested in sewing one themselves can scroll down to the comments and they can see who should I contact if I want to buy one. As always, the timestamp for every step of this tutorial will be in the first comment pinned down below. Links for pretty much everything I'm using will also be included in the description down below. Before we get started, make sure you subscribe down below so you can keep up to date with all of the new tutorials we're coming out with. I have a new tutorial every single Monday, and there's going to be some pop-up videos throughout the week as well. Make sure you give this video a like if at any point you like the video, because, I like to know if you like it. And leave any comments or questions you have down below. I'm checking those all the time. So let's get started. So to make the first headband, you're going to need polyester thread. This polyester is going to have a little bit of a stretch to it. Don't use cotton thread on these headbands. The cotton thread does not have any stretch and it does not have any give. And when you try to tug it over your head, you might end up just breaking the stitches. You'll also need a ballpoint needle. You can use either a jersey or universal needle. You can see mine are Schmetz 8012. One's jersey, one's universal. Either one will work. You're also going to need a safety pin. A safety pin is what we're going to use to turn out our fabric tubes, and I'll show you that in a little bit. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of fabric. You can mess around with the width and the lengths of these based on what you're comfortable with. For the first version, I am making the twisted headband, which is where the 2 straps just kind of lay over each other like that. For that, I am using 2 cuts of Notorious fabric. These cuts are 5 inches wide by 20 inches long. I find that this size is really nice on my head. If you have a larger head, you might want to make it a little bit longer. If you have a much smaller head, which most people do, you might want to make it closer to 19 inches, maybe 18 inches. Just play around with this. It doesn't use much fabric, so you have a lot of freedom to test out which sizes work best for you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our sewing machine and we're going to sew these strips longwise like this. And we're going to sew the strips right sides together, and we're just going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way along this edge. So I'm going to take my fabric, and I'm not even going to pin this because it goes pretty quickly. If you feel more comfortable pinning these edges together, by all means go ahead and do that. I just fold the raw edges together, right sides together, using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm just going to go all the way down, give it a back stitch, and just go all the way down, making a nice long tube. We're going to do the same for the other strip of fabric. Right sides together, line up the edges. All right, so here are our tubes. Now all we have to do is turn them right side out. So to help with this, I like to take a safety pin and just pin it on the end of one of these, on one of your ends, and then I just shove the safety pin into the tube, and then I just feel for it while I push it up. And then once I get a little bit of a gathering here, I hold on to the safety pin with my other hand and just kind of tug this all down, just to make it easier. And it doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to work much at all. You just have to, you're just working that fabric inside out, or I guess right side out. Once the safety pin is out on the other end, you just gently pull the fabric down, and now you can just grab that fabric, because you don't want to pull the safety pin too much because you can rip the fabric, and then just pull it out. It's like a magic trick. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful tube. So let's do the same for the other one. Now what we want to do is we want to go to our iron, and we just want to give this a nice press, because if this is nice and flat, it's going to make building the headband all the more easier. So I'm just going to pinch my seams so that they're on one side, you know, not like right down in the middle, and that will just help me have a nice flat tube to put together. So press this, and then we'll start construction. So here we go, our tubes are pressed, now we can put it all together. To do this, we're actually going to act as if we're making the other version, the hooked version, and then we're going to twist it into our version. So I'll show you what I mean. So you're going to take your first strip, and you're going to take it and just fold it in half so that the raw edges are lined up. And now you're going to take your second strip, you're going to weave it under, and then you're going to fold this one in half as well between it. You see? So we have it folded like that. So here's what we have. We have this, they're perpendicular to one another, right? This one is just weaved. So if you wanted to start it like this, you could lay out one strip like this, lay the other strip out in the middle, over it, cross this over, and then pull this one up and down. And that's just it. You just want to hook together. And now all you have to do is take the ends of both of these and put them together just like that. And if you look, you see this gives you a hooked headband. Even though this is not the design we're going for right now, I'm going to show you how we switch it around. So you can line up all your ends together, and if you want to make it less bulky, you can see we have the seams on the left side here, or we have the seams on the bottom side. And then when we take this, we can twist it just a bit so that the seams are going to be on the top, just like that. So align them all, and then let's go to the sewing machine and stitch this. We're just going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. All right, so I have all 4 of my ends lined up. And this can be a little tricky with knits because they like to stretch around. They don't like to stay in one place. They're like unruly little children, right? So you can just kind of clip them. And let's just give it a 1/4 inch stitch. I like to start about a 1/4 inch or a little bit more into the fabric because my presser foot likes to slip over that slippery fabric and those seams, and then I'll just back stitch like that, and then continue on. And make sure you back stitch on the end as well. So you can see at this point, you have the actual hooked version of the headband. And if this raw seam doesn't bug you, you could just flip it. And then there you go, be done with the other version. But to hide this seam and also make the twisted version, what we do is we're gonna take the two inside strips and pull those, and the two outside strips and take these, just like that. Now we have the twisted version of the headband, and we can go over this with our sewing machine and hide this seam down here. So what we can do now using a zipper foot or our regular foot is, see, this is where that seam is. We're just gonna put these around there, and then we're just gonna stitch right up against the seam over the fabric right here. And that's gonna hide that seam for us, and then we can just trim off the ends. So I'll show you how we do that. As you can tell, I'm not using a zipper foot, but I'm okay with that. So here is our first headband. This is the twisted one. As you can see, we have a nice hidden seam here, which I just prefer. A lot of, even the ones that I bought on Amazon, they have the seam showing, and I like it nice and tugged in. That way I can wear it either way I want. It's totally reversible. So here is the finished twisted headband. You can see it takes very little time to make these. So now let's move on to the hooked version. I'm using this beautiful So Sketchy from Backstitch Fabrics. I'll have information on this down below in the description. And this one I'm gonna make a little bit wider. The cut strips will be 5 inches wide by 20 inches long. Once again, we're going to need our jersey or universal needles, our all-purpose polyester thread, and a safety pin. And I wanna also suggest that it's best if you use thread that matches your fabric. I only have white, so white's what we're using. So just like before, we're gonna take these and we're gonna fold them right sides together, hot dog style. And we're just gonna stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down the tube. We're gonna do this for both of them. So we made these tubes by folding your right sides together, 1/4 inch seam allowance. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip them out. So I like to stick a safety pin through one side of one end, and then I push it into the tube. And then I use that to help me guide one end through the entire tube. And then pull it out. There's one. Let's do the same for the other tube. All right, now we have both of our tubes flipped out. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to finger press this so that the seam is on the top, and then I'm gonna take it to my ironing board and I'm just gonna give it a quick press. That's gonna make working with these tubes much easier as we're weaving our headband. Okay, to weave this together, it's gonna take a little finagling. So I have my washi tape and I'm gonna mark the ends. First, I'm gonna fold the end of each strip down just a little bit while I mark them. I'm gonna put a piece of washi tape on the ends of each strip, just like that. And then I have the opposite side of the other end, which is why I folded this over. I'm gonna mark the opposite sides of the folded over ends, A and B. And then the bottom ends, this is going to be D and C. So A and D on one strip and B and C are on the other strip. This is just gonna let us know how we put it together. So now take your strips so that the C tape and the D tape are facing up. Now we're gonna put C on top of D. And see, we have B and A. We want B to end up on top of A, but first we have to twist it a couple times. So we're gonna pull it under once, and then we're gonna pull it back over. So now we have B on top of A. So pull up your CD and your AB sides, fold together. Now you should have A, B, C, and D all lined up just like that. And this is what your headband should look like at the moment. So now we're gonna take this to the sewing machine and we're gonna sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance along the raw edges, and then we'll flip it back and close it up. So I like to clip all my layers in place because it does like to slip around. I start my stitching about a 1/4 inch or a little bit more into the fabric so that my presser foot doesn't slide off the edge since we do have so many layers here. And then I'll just back stitch to that and then continue on. So you can see this is where we're at. We have this exposed seam right here. And if we were to leave it, we would have a crossover headband, which is what we made previously. But we want a hooked headband. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the inside strips, pinch them together, take the outside strips and pinch those together. What we're doing is we're going to enclose this mess right here. So pinch it all together and then pull it, and there you have a hooked headband. Look, there's hook. So now you can see we have a hooked headband. So now you can use a zipper foot for this. I don't, and I don't have a problem with it, but if you want to get really close, you can do that. So what I'm going to do is, see, here is my exposed seam. I'm just going to wrap these ends around it, and then I'm going to sew through both of these ends right up against that seam to just enclose the seam in the fabric. So you can see now this is closed up. We can just trim these ends a little bit to clean it up, and you have a completely finished hooked headband. We made some headbands. These are super cute. So remember, this is the cut we made. It was 4 inches wide. This one was 5 inches wide. And I kind of like the 4-inch one better, but for like really bad hair days, the 5-inch wide, let's try it out. Hold on, I'll show you. So yeah, for like the days where my hair is just crazy, see, you just stick it in a ponytail, and this headband is adorable, right? So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions about making headbands, make sure you leave them in the comments below. And don't forget, if you are a business or a shop or just a local person who makes headbands and sells them, leave your shop down below in the comments. Anybody who comes by this YouTube video who's interested in a custom headband but not interested in actually sewing one, they can contact you by looking in the comments down below. Make sure you're subscribed so that you can keep up to date with all the latest tutorials. Next week, we're doing scrunchies. We've also got a lot of bags and quilts and all kinds of stuff coming out. Don't forget that if you have any projects you want me to check out or you want to share with the Oakley Roots community, make sure you use hashtag OakleyRootsToots. So thanks so much again for stopping by. Get out there and make something. Bye!